During the next day's big group whole class lesson, we would go over the lesson on how to record the copycat version of the story. Now let's look over at the scope and sequence, and you will see here that what I would do, jump over to the materials. I would have a printed book. In other words, you're looking into FabuLingua's teachers resources, and I would make a printout of each page. And I would also make printouts of record buttons. And the purpose of this is, one, to make it fun, two, to have it very low stakes. The kids, a lot of kids are going to love recording themselves, but there are going to be a good chunk that might have some reservations about it. So this is just pretending to be recording and not actually feel like they're being recorded. And then what we would do is I would read that story chunk by chunk, just like it would on the app. And then, when I finish, they would all push their little paper buttons to record and, record. And we would go through this, maybe finish the whole book, maybe not, depending on how much time we have and how well it's going. If we're needing the practice, we might go ahead and try to finish the whole book. Then after this practice round of fake recording, then I would use one device and record us all together. And so this is going to do a couple of things. Number one, it's going to sound really silly, and we're going to giggle about that. And it allows me not only to help those who are feeling anxious turn this into something that's fun and familiar, but also introduces the idea of what it's going to sound like when the two of them as partners in the dedicated FabuLingua time, how it sounds when they're working together. I personally will let them choose if it's just one student, the leader of that partnership, do it, or if it's just two students doing it, recording it together. And here's the reason I would let them choose. There are going to be some students who are very nervous about recording themselves in general, but especially in a language that they feel like they don't know. So this allows them to have that comfort zone. Now, much further into the future, then I would really start encouraging some kids to start recording on their own, and might even need to have like a one-on-one, depending on their levels of comfort and their levels of Spanish, how much tracking I'm needing to do for the school or the parents. So there's some ways to work with that creatively, but doing this recording as a whole class is letting me establish the idea of pushing record and we speak together, and hopefully a lot of them will get that cadence and it will start to feel natural to do that. I will also take some volunteers to record it on their own. So I'll say, okay, on this go, when I push record, who's going to do it? And, that keeping it fun and enthusiastic while also not putting on that pressure. At the same time, I'm, really watching the circle of students to see how each person is reacting with their nonverbal language. Are they seeming really withdrawal? Do they seem like they don't know what's going on, versus the ones who have kind of jumped right in? And that's going to give me an idea of how to create my partnerships during the dedicated FabuLingua time. All right, so let's look back here at the scope and sequence, and you will see that after this mock recording, and then we do the whole class recording, then we would have a little chat about what it feels like when you're ready. Doing that whole class recording, I'm going to make some purposeful mess ups. I'm going to make a mistake. And show them how we can re-record it and also make it feel okay that we're all going to make mistakes while we're learning a language, and really normalize that. But I'm also going to show what it feels like when maybe we're not ready for the copycat. If we mess up again and again, and it's getting to the point where it's challenging in a very frustrating way, and hopefully they will come up with the idea from there. If not, I will guide them to it, that we can just redo magical translations, and we can do magical translations as many times as we need. And then, every now and then we check on the copycat, try that again, and that will hopefully feel a little bit better. Now, in the very next FabuLingua, the dedicated time, which there's not going to be a video about that one, but just know that now magical translations and CopyCat are both available for them to work on. And, at some point in that, I'm going to ask them to, if they're doing the CopyCat, to go back and do magical translations and then do CopyCat again and see if the CopyCat feels like it's any easier. If things are going well and doesn't seem necessary, then I won't do that. But that's just an idea to help them really feel like it's okay and normal to go back and review, that not every single level is completed once and then you move on. So if time is limited, then I wouldn't necessarily do this whole CopyCat lesson with the fake recordings. I would just, at the beginning of the next dedicated FabuLingua time, I would take a few pages or, within the story, and we walk through how to do that. Less vocabulary is going to be reviewed if we're doing it that way, but as long as the students understand how to record, they can keep going. And at this point, the kids are really starting to work on their own, so you should start to, see the magic happen.